You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, I am delighted to welcome Nathan Gray to the podcast. Nathan is most well known as the vocalist of hardcore legends BoySetsFire, but right now, Nathan is extremely excited about being the vocalist for the Iron Roses. From their bio on their website, ironroses.band, the Iron Roses are a passionate, unique, and beautiful group of people making music that we hope will change the world. Fueled by the injustices of our current times, their songs are the kind of protest anthems that only a group of seasoned musicians could make. Still angry, still driven, and still screaming. This is a band that will never give up the fight. I personally am so excited to have Nathan on the podcast. We go into depth on the songs Less Talk More Rock and Refusing to Be a Man, while tracing Nathan's own personal story, and then we discuss what propaganda did in the 90s is not like other bands, and how that influenced Nathan's own performance on stage with their numerous bands over the years. Go check out the Iron Roses, go back and listen to BoySetsFire, and please enjoy this conversation with Nathan Gray.
The architects of misery call down from the battle rooms on high. They picket fights for you and I to gamble lost and set the price. But from the depths to the mountains, we circle for our lives.
Nathan Gray, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so delighted that you're here, Nathan. I'm wondering if you can just spend a moment and introduce yourself to the listeners out there. I'm sure many know who you are, but maybe just kind of give a little overview of what you do and what you got going on these days.
Sure. My name is Nathan Gray, and I play in a band currently called the Iron Roses. We have a new album coming out, oh my goodness, in 5 days.
Yes.
On October 20th. And I have been doing the punk rock musics for a good 30 years now, starting with BoySetsFire, also doing a band called The Casting Out, I Am Heresy, Nathan Gray Collective. I did some solo stuff. I've done a lot, all to get me to this stage. So that's sort of where I'm at.
Amazing. Well, Nathan, the first time I ever came across your music was the way that so many of us did. For me, it was after the Eulogy. I saw the After the Eulogy tour in St. Louis, Missouri at the Creepy Crawl when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was such an important show. And I know that we're here to talk about propaganda, but something that really stands out to me is the way that propaganda was so outspoken on stage and opened so many people's minds, the way that they would just be very, very verbal from the stage with how they thought about the ideas of the world. But I didn't see propaganda live until 2006. I saw BoySetsFire on the After the Eulogy tour, and the thing that stands out to me most is the story or the anecdote that you told before the song Unspoken Request. So for me, your band did what propaganda did for so many other people, is just, saying your thoughts and ideas bluntly and clearly from the stage. And that's one of my biggest memories of your work. So that's why I'm so glad that you're here, because you did for me what propaganda did for so many other people.
Thank you so much. And I would be remiss not to credit, when I first heard propaganda, they were a huge influence. I would say two of the biggest influences on BoySetsFire, at least for me, were propaganda and Born Against.
Amazing.
So hardcore and punk bands, the melodic and the more crazy heavy stuff. And but I remember being very I've always, as you'll hear with the Iron Roses or like the Casting Out, I was always the part in BoySetsFire that really liked the melodic punk stuff. I wasn't much of I like doing the screamy stuff, but it's not really my focus, the hardcore stuff. So I've always been sort of a melodic punk kid, and melodic punk for a while was a little disappointing, to be honest. You had Bad Religion, which was great, but then you had stuff like, I call it the Descendants factor.
Mhm.
And I don't mean to upset anybody, but Descendants were a bunch of fart jokes, and it was awful.
Mm.
And they created bands like Blink 182 and bands that just like I just couldn't do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that stuff. It was so 16-year-old boy, and honestly, as we may talk about or not, but I've been in and out of the closet 3 million times. But finally finding myself as a queer, non-binary person, bands like Propaganda were huge for me
Yeah.
back then. To be able to, like Descendants had great music, Screeching Weasel had great music. Like there was some melodic pop punky type of stuff out there, but for the most part, the lyrics were like 16-year-old dudes, and
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Like it was just like, okay, it's a fart joke, I get it. Ugh. Like
Yeah.
moving on. And so, and the same thing for what I'm getting to here is that same thing for NoFX. Like they
Mhm.
sort of grew up a little bit going down the road and started speaking on more political ideas. But back in the day, they were all poop and fart jokes and I'm gonna fuck your sister jokes,
Yeah.
which was like, ugh. So when Propaganda came out with How to Clean Everything, and it had that sound, but it was outspoken and all this stuff, I was like, oh, yes.
Yes.
Like, it was so meaningful to me. And so going into After the Eulogy, which came out, How to Clean Everything came out in like 93, something like that.
Yeah.
And After the Eulogy came out in 2000. That was a huge influence on speaking on issues. You know what I mean? No matter what the music sound like, speaking on certain issues and being very outspoken on them. That album, was a game changer for me.
That is fantastic. Did you hear Propaganda or in 1993, like right when they were coming out? Is that like
Oh
your
yeah.
earliest
Yeah, that album came out and everybody in my little scene went fucking berserk. Like it was,
Nice.
we had a very like close knit scene in Newark, Delaware, and it was all mostly like very, it's the scene BoySetsFire came out of. So there was very politically minded, socially minded kids. And so that album came out and everybody was just like, blew our minds. It's catchy
Yeah.
and you can sing along, and I don't feel stupid singing the lyrics. Like,
Yeah.
like which was the problem. It was like there were so many bands that had catchy shit, but I'm like, I'm not singing that. That sounds
Yeah.
so dumb.
Yeah.
And then they came out, it was like, fuck yeah. I can say, I mean, fucking like, yeah, it just blew my mind. Anybody that like had that same experience with that band knows what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
It was catchy and fun and exciting, and at the same time the lyrics were smart and important and intelligent and so cool.
Amazing.
So
You
it was a
know,
big deal.
something that really jumps out to me about doing this podcast is whenever I was 14, 15, 16, it was like 1997 through like 2003. And so I was right there as a kid singing back. And I think about all the shows that I went to singing back to bands where I was essentially singing songs back to guy lead singers who were singing songs about stalking women and things like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
doing this podcast at 37, 38, 39, 40 years old has been
Mhm.
so illuminating for me about the ways that I played into all of those things too. So it's so
Mhm.
important for me how much I'm still learning about myself as I'm about to turn 40.
Yeah. And how awesome is it that bands came up that weren't preaching the same garbage that, like, it just, I don't mean to keep harping on Descendants, but I really blame them for a lot. Like, to have that catchy and amazing a music and not use it for something better, really, it just like, it just created a lot of really dumb shit and I think they know it. I mean, now like that band, they're probably like, they look back at their first albums and like, oh my God, like,
Mm,
but like, it was such a toxic and awful like scene. And that
yeah.
was fostering that bullshit.
Yeah.
And so it was so important for people like me and women and queer people and people that just didn't want to sing stupid shit, to hear someone speak up and so drastically speak up, you know, especially once you go into, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but you know, going into Let's Talk More Rock, you know.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to get into?
Did you have a chance to ever see them live in those early days in the 90s?
I saw them once, and it was at sorry, let me think of what it was.
I know it all blends together so much these days.
It was
it's
at
so
a
funny.
Harvest of Hope festival in
cool.
Florida. And that was the first time I saw them. And I think they were well into, I don't even know what album at that point, but it was well past that time before I got to see them live. They were well into their more tech metal years.
Yeah. Was BoySetsFire on that festival too? Was it something where you just happened to overlap?
No, it was the Casting Out.
Oh, okay, cool, nice.
So it would have had to been in the mid to later 2000s, like maybe the mid 2000s. Yeah, I guess we're in that, but I don't know. It all blends together so bad. Yeah. So it may have actually been like around, because so BoySetsFire broke up for about 5 years, and that's when the Casting Out started. So it could have very well been around. So it was right after Plague Years, which came out in 2006, 2007. So it would have had to have been around then.
Got it. Perfect.
You know?
Yeah, it was probably the Potemkin City Limits era.
Yes, it was. It was.
Nice.
Yep.
Very cool. Are you a fan kind of like of their entire career? Do you find yourself like being drawn to certain eras more than others?
I am now. So it's funny, because I still cannot for the life of me, and I caught a lot of shit for it from friends, Potemkin City, that I still can't get into that album. And I don't know why. But everything else, I sort of love. You know what I also don't love is when that dude from I Spy was singing with them for a little bit on that one album.
He's still in the band.
Oh, is he? Because he has that rough Cookie Monster voice, and I didn't love that.
Yeah, he's still in the band. Yeah, that's Todd. And so Todd came into Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, and over the course of and over the course of their career, Todd actually changed the way that he sings, because he was singing so far outside of his own like natural vocal register that he was blowing himself up big time. So he sings a lot differently on the newer records.
Makes sense now.
Yeah, so that's
I like everything. I didn't know that was still him. That's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, okay. He was way higher on Today's Empires than he got in later years, because he was really blowing himself up. And then in about 2009 and 10, he did a bunch of vocal rehabilitation from some vocal throat issues and stuff like that, you know?
Oh, great. Because it sounds much better now. So,
awesome. That's awesome.
What album was the Dear Coach's Corner song on?
Supporting Cast, yeah.
Supporting Cast. That was where I sort of came back to them. So after Potemkin City Limits, I don't know if anything came before Supporting Cast, but that was when I came back and went, okay, I get it now. And then I was sort of able to go back to like the other albums and appreciate them. But after Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, after that album, I sort of dropped off for a little bit. But that era, that more, I guess, less metal-y prog stuff, was really my jam, you know? So when they started getting a little bit more proggy, I was like, but now I can appreciate it. Like, and like I said, that song, Dear Coach's Corner, like, I mean, that's catchy as fuck. I think maybe there was just a moment of them trying to figure out where they were in that and trying to blend those styles together. And it just took me a minute to like really get what they were doing.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the importance of Less Talk More Rock, because whenever you and I have been threatening to do a podcast together for so long at this point, and I'm so glad we're finally doing it. This is so fun. But the importance of the Less Talk More Rock record is such an important and crucial moment for my life as a fan of music and as a person who cares about issues and ideas in the world. This was a massive cultural point for me. And I think that it's Propaganda's most important record. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what this record means for you as a course of like 1996 context. And then tell me a little bit about why this record is so important to you.
This album was the biggest fuck off to all the dumb shit that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. Like I heard it in How to Clean Everything, but I didn't feel it yet. You know what I mean? And it was so like just unapologetically fuck you, dude type of attitude that I like it immediately stuck with me. Like hearing Refusing to Be a Man, hearing the song Let's Talk More Rock, you know, those songs I had heard dudes speak up on feminism, but not a lot, and definitely not the way they did it, to where it was just like took it from that book and like this idea that men play a pivotal role in feminism and in smashing patriarchy and creating a difference in our scene and in our world, and how to do that and how to rearrange the narrative and how to rearrange our thinking. Oh, just like, oh, I nearly cried when I first heard that album, you know. And then as someone who's queer, to have someone say, I fuck dudes, you know, and you're here for it, just so you know. And not only that, but it's almost one thing in our sexist, homophobic scene and culture. And let's not pretend it's not. It's just a smaller culture of the bigger culture. And bands like this are changing it through things that might not seem huge, but are. And that is, he didn't just say that he had sex with a friend of his. Yeah. He also said that he was fucked by a friend. Yeah. He took on a culturally feminine position and bottomed for his friend, you know what I mean? In this sex act. And for a queer kid, that's enormous. To have someone with such power and presence say, this doesn't make me less of a human. This doesn't make me weak. This makes me someone who enjoys sex. This makes me someone who enjoys my sexuality, who loves my sexuality, and you are not taking this from me. And that was just, I lost it on that song. You know, like it was just like the biggest fuck you to all the meathead, stupid bullshit. And not only that, but such a fuck you to all the fake fucking, oh, I'm so liberal and blah, blah, blah. But you're not. Right. You're allowing this shit to continue. You're allowing this. You're uncomfortable. I can see you being uncomfortable with this, you know? Yeah. And that was awesome that somebody said, be uncomfortable. I don't give a fuck. Like, this is me. And if you're coming to my shows and you're dancing and you're enjoying what I do, you are celebrating my sexuality and you can't do anything the fuck about it. Yeah. You know, this reminds me of something that I saw from your band, the Iron Roses, the other day, where you made a post on Instagram where you said, we're getting more attention. Some negativity is coming out of the woodwork. I'm ready for it. We're ready for it. And, you know, that kind of really speaks to me about what you're saying right now is if you're going to be in a certain band that has certain ideas and you're going to say those things, you have to expect that kind of pushback, but you have to, you know, go with it anyway if you feel like that's the right thing that you have to do, you know? Yeah. If it's going to be a fight, let's make it a fight, you know? And that's where it's funny because it's literally a lyric from the second song off the new album and we're getting close enough to it. But it's called Soldier of Fortune. And the first line of the chorus is, if it's going to be a fight, I'll be here every damn night. And I said what I said, and I'll say it again, because you know I'm right. And that's the attitude we're going into this, is that, and I got this from that, you know what I mean? Like, that was the attitude that saved me. and is making me think back to those bands that inspired me, like Propaganda, to be like that, to be like, I'm going to be this. And it's not going to be an argument. We're not going to sit here and fucking talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, because I think that we get trapped in that sometimes and thinking that arguing online is going to do anything. It doesn't. It just platforms and it helps others get the negative attention that they need in their silly, desperate lives. So what we do is we get out, we tell you what's what. And if you have a problem with that, well, good luck to you, because we're deleting and we're blocking. I'm not platforming any of your shit. I don't give a fuck about you. Move on. Yeah. Go start your own page and be a dick about shit. I'll never come to it, you know? And that's our stance. And also coming back to this song, Soldier of Fortune, it's the reason I'm speaking out is because that song specifically is about bands who refuse to speak out. And bands who can say a lot of bullshit, but when the rubber hits the road, they're the quietest of the group, you know? And I've experienced this several times with dealing with, you know, we were playing a stage with Pantera in at some festival. And
I remember that.
I was working with local activist groups and stuff to get them the fuck off there. And like, I don't give a fuck if Pantera tours. I'm not gonna follow them around on their tour and fucking protest them. I don't give a shit, but I'm not sharing a stage with them, you know? And I think that's the big difference. I've got better things to do with my time than, you know, constantly talk about other bands, but there are certain bands that I am not sharing a stage with. It's just not happening, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what Propaganda inspired in me, is to make sure that I'm constantly always speaking up and not worried about how that's going to affect our career as a band. They didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that band could give a fuck
if
they're popular or if they're in a garage somewhere. They do not care.
Yeah.
And I love that, is that they are a constant middle finger to the industry, to society, to everything, because they're just going to do what they love to do.
Yeah.
And good luck to you if you don't like it.
Yeah. I love that. Chris has said on his own podcast, he's like, you know, if we were coming across a decision where something looked to be commercially viable or not, we went the way that was not commercially viable. So they're very aware of that too, the way that they go into that, you know. And something else I want to chat about real quick is, I know you already alluded to how important Less Talk More Rock and Refusing to Be a Man are, but I would be remiss if we didn't chat a little bit about, you know, your own journey in the past, throughout your entire life. I would love to know a little bit about kind of where you were involving sexuality and sexual orientation and gender in 1996 when this came out, and then just kind of give people a little bit of an overview, because your phases of your career in music have been varied. I read a really interesting article about your life in a Maryland newspaper recently, where it talks about the long beard phase and the Church of Satan phase and things like that. And I was just wondering if you can just tell people a little bit about your like 1996 to kind of present day journey. I know it's a lot.
Sure. It is a lot, but it can
curious.
It can be very easily summed up in that journey was trying to find, well, it wasn't trying to find, it was trying to escape who I was. And there was that, you know, I was latching on to anything that had sort of a more, well, here, let me go back. So I came in and out of the closet, both publicly, privately, like 3 million times, it feels. And whether it was, I'm gay, no, wait, I'm bi, no, wait, I'm straight, no, I don't fucking know, you know, because at the time, like now, I can be like, oh shit, I'm pansexual. And I am non-binary and trans or whatever, you know, and like, there's these words for it. There were always words for it, but I didn't know, you know? And so being that crazy, weird in the middle thing that like no one understood, I didn't have anything to bounce it off of. So instead I just went, well, I must be insane, so I need to stop. Like, because there's no other thing, but you're either a man or a woman, or you're gay or straight, or you're maybe bi, but that means fuck all. I don't know. So it was really trying to figure that out. And so, there was stages where I was nearly comically masculine in a lot of ways. And I think I was doing that to try to, hide who I really am, because who I really am felt weak. And like I said, that's why these albums spoke to me and these lyrics spoke to me, because, even though I wasn't able to be strong enough yet, I could sit in my room and listen to them and go, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
And so it's weird, because I was trying to figure out, because there was definitely a time where I was certainly more open about who I was, even though I was confused. And then all of a sudden there was this time where I just closed off. And it was right around the casting out. And I started drinking heavily, started doing a lot of drugs and drinking. Not that I didn't do that before, but it got worse. And I was latching on to anything that seemed like Church of Satan. I joined Church of Satan. I had this big giant beard, and I was this gruff, masculine, individual, and it was like so dumb and so ridiculous. And there were so what I found is that what I was hiding from and what I was really hurting from was abuse that I had suffered as a kid in the churches that we were in. And so I had to get through a lot. And that journey began because everything before that is just pure confusion and insanity. Okay. So it's hard to say, it was just pick a year. I was something different. I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably drunk, or coked up. So, it was the first solo album that I did called Feral Hymns.
Yeah.
Where I started really getting into that with the song Echoes. And it was something that I didn't really want to do publicly, but I needed to do it publicly, because if you don't do it publicly, there's no way of getting out of it. There's nothing I feel a lot of times if I do things privately, I have no reckoning. I have no way to have anyone hold me accountable to get help.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
So that crying out and that saying, this happened and this is what I need to heal before I can really get to who I am, then took on a journey of about 5-6 years of me doing Feral Hymns, working title, then into Rebel Songs, in my solo stuff, really growing that process and getting the help that I needed. And once that baggage was gone, all the fear left, all that shame left. And it was almost overnight where I was like, oh, I see. I see where I'm at and who I've been and who I am. And this is what I've been fighting against. This is what I've been trying not to be.
Yeah.
And that's scary, honestly, because I think there's a lot of times throughout my life where I went, this is me now. And I was stoked about it. I think when you finally really find yourself, it's a little scary and unnerving. It's never a, hell yeah, this is me. It's more a, oh no, this is me.
Yeah, because now you have to live with it.
Yeah, because now that's it. You figured it out. That sucks, And there's a lot of things that you have built on that are not that,
Yeah.
And so it's an adjustment, and it's losing people, and that sucks, because there's nowhere to run at that point, and you just you power through it, and it's sad and joyful all at the same time, which is very confusing. And there are people who a year ago we would say we love each other,
Mm-hmm.
and now we barely talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If at all. So it's it was a lot, and it's been a lot, and I'm in such a better place. And this is how I think when you're in the right place, is that you can have such devastatingly horrible things happen to you, and you're still like, well, got to keep moving. It doesn't send me into a depressed, suicidal state. It doesn't, drop me to my knees. It just goes, wow, that's fucking sad. And I hate that for all of us, but got to keep going,
Yeah.
Because that's all there is.
Yeah. And I'm like loving the era that you're in now with the Iron Roses. I mean, it feels like such an awesome thing. And I kind of have watched your, last 5 years from afar. I think I saw you on the Feral Hymns tour when you were in Buffalo with Spanish Love Songs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I bought that LP from you at that show at Mohawk Place. It's over there on my shelf. And, so it's been really awesome to watch you. And the reason you caught my attention recently to come on the podcast was because you made a really amazing post where you said that a majorly important moment for you was when you stopped trying to be a man. And I replied, what are your thoughts on the Stoltenberg book, Refusing to Be a Man? And you said that you love the book and you love the song. So I'm curious a little bit about your thoughts on Refusing to Be a Man specifically, because we kind of talked about Let's Talk More Rock already, but this one is a different one. And I'm wondering what came first, the song or the book, and kind of what are your relationships to these two pieces?
Yeah, the song definitely came first in my life, and that led me to the book, which I think is awesome about punk rock, is that it can do that. It can lead you to the source material by praising it. And thank you to Propagandhi for leading me there, and it's funny because in this assessment, he is speaking from a cis male perspective, which is great. I think more cis dudes should feel that way and should look into that and rearrange their narrative and their ideas of who they are and how they affect the world. And that was great to hear that. And for me, it was like, there's something in this that's digging at me. And I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not necessarily the stated intention, And I read the book, I listened to the album, I did all that and love it. But at the same time, it was like, this isn't exactly what I'm feeling. Like, what is it that I'm really feeling in this idea of refusing to be a man, or what it means to be a man in this world? And, more recently figured it out, but I would never have gotten there without that. And I think that's sort of the cool thing about feminism, is we don't get anywhere without it. As people who were born male, I don't know if we ever get to our true selves without understanding feminism. And that's how patriarchy hurts all of us. That's how, a system without feminism hurts all of us. It's not just women. It's also men. It's also people who were maybe assigned male at birth, It hurts all of us. And so getting into theories like that
that's
is of the utmost importance.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point too, because after reading the book myself, I was actually going through a divorce when I read it. And I noticed some of my own tendencies about how I don't communicate when I was reading that book. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned my own tendencies to not say certain things that needed to be said. And in the book, it was talking about men's communication patterns and how we're conditioned within communication and relationships. And I saw so much of my own self and my own tendencies and
Yeah.
my silences, my brooding silences. You know what I mean? So much
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
book's communication discussions was me
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
clearly, and it really stood out a lot to me.
I found that's great. And I found that a lot of my actions towards women came from a place of anger and hatred of the feminine within me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm,
feel
mm-hmm.
like I took that out at times on women who I was with or friends with or whatever. and and that helped me start that journey on figuring that out. What am I angry at? Why am I such a dick
Mm.
to people? And why do I treat women in such a despicable manner?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that it could just help every man in this world, whether you're a man, whether you were assigned male at birth, you know, whatever. It helps us all to figure out why we are the way we are, the way we act, and to accept fault. Because a lot of guys are real fucking bad at that. Like, well, I'm not this, I'm not that. Maybe you are. Just shut the fuck up for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I don't know why everything has to be a look. I know not all men, but it's ridiculous. Like the fragility that is contained within years of shame and years of trying to be this alpha thing that you can't be. You're never going to be that.
Yeah.
Give up. Let go.
The propensity for defensiveness is so interesting too. Like one of the things that I learned about myself was that I felt I had a really hard time being critiqued and for improvement. I always thought that a critique was an attack instead of seeing as an effort to help me improve myself and my own behavior and treatment. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I mean, I still have that issue where I have to, like, if someone sends me something online or in a text, I need to sit with it for a second sometimes. And say, okay, is this an actual attack? Or is this something that I need to understand and be able to communicate back in a positive manner and say, thank you for giving me that insight so that we can then discuss this, you know? So absolutely, I fully understand that. And it's something that I still reckon with.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to sit with sometimes and go, okay, don't immediately go to defensiveness.
Right.
You know, I mean, unless someone's just like yelling homophobic shit at me, that's different. But, you know, but when someone gives okay, so recently, I remember with all this shit that's just happened with Anti-Flag. And I remember there was a certain thing that happened or as far as like the statements that they made as a band. And they finally got around to making some sort of half-assed okay statement about it. And I remember going, okay, well, that's cool. I guess they finally got around to it, but, you know, better late than never. And one of the people who were victimized by Justin wrote me and was like, no, this isn't okay. Because I think I shared it. Like, it was like, well, better late than never type of thing. And she got in touch with me. It was like, nope, this isn't okay. And sort of dug into me a little bit, like, but because she was upset, because she hadn't been heard, because still this band was making excuses. Still, this band was not hearing the victims. And And I went, well, wait, I'm not a bad person. I'm being the good person. Oh, dude, shut up. Like, like I had to stop myself for a second and reply and thank her for giving me that insight. And the conversation that created, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. She's a dear friend now.
Amazing.
Yeah. And there's so many people, especially women, who are not heard, even if people are performatively hearing them. They're not hearing them, they're just doing the least they can to move on with their careers and lives,
Yeah.
So when you actually hear someone and take on the responsibility of hearing them, it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, amazing. Well, these are all things that I think that everybody should commit to continuing to develop within ourselves, because it is not easy to set aside our own reactivity a lot of times, as human nature can be very powerful, and conditioning over the course of our lives is very powerful. But whenever I read that in that Refusing to Be a Man book about my own defensiveness and the silences and the lack of ability to communicate, it was a massive epiphany for me. So I'm glad that you resonate with that stuff as well too, because it's just so powerful for me.
Oh yeah, it's so important, and especially for, I would task any, I'll say it again, cis male, to read that and to understand it, because I think that book really opens up a lot and on how men can drop the defenses and take responsibility and ownership.
Yeah. And that will actually lead to a more of an equal partnership.
It'll be
humans.
empowering for everyone. It's not, because empowerment isn't one over the other,
Right.
Empowerment is when we're all empowered. Yeah.
And the statements in the book about how men are, creating their own cycle of pain by continuing to not address their own, like I said, I keep saying this, the brooding silences, the inability to communicate. This is making us feel pain as well. And seeking to address that is a path of like liberation for men too.
Without a doubt. And that's why I was saying before, like, patriarchy does no one any good.
Right.
Just because you're at the top of the thing doesn't mean that just means you're alone. You know? It's and you've got no help, and as men, like, through, even in the most progressive bands, like with BoySetsFire, when we'd be on the road, it was very hard for us as dudes, when I was trying to be more doodly, when, like, they were being men, and and the communication was so bad, and everybody has hurts and pains and shame and suffering, and when you can't open up about that, and you can't speak on those issues, and you can't have an open forum within your group of friends, you're lost,
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So, Nathan, whenever we got in touch, something that I do on this podcast is I ask people to pick 3 songs to kind of talk about. And we've done a really nice job, I feel like, talking about Less Talk, More Rock and Refusing to Be a Man. And you also picked a 3rd song that's about a totally different topic. And you chose Nation States as your 3rd selection. And so I was wondering if you can just spend a moment and talk a little bit about this song, because obviously you care about so many ideas in the world, and this record goes into so much more than gender and sexuality. And I'm wondering if you can kind of break down Nation States for me a little bit.
Yeah. Number one, the reason why anyone gets into that song is the first fucking line. It's catchy as all fucking hell. Publicly submit. I can't even do it.
Publicly, some say that's privately profitable.
The anthem of the upper tier, puppeteer, untouchable.
Yeah,
like that. Just, you fit all those. That's like Bad Religion. You know what I mean? Like, you can fit all those fucking words into that and make it catchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then once you get into it and you realize the content of it, like that's what punk rock is all about. That's what we've been saying. You know, you just made it catchier and cooler, you know? And I think that it's such a short critique that fits in so much of the issues of capitalism and nationalism and, you know, all of it takes on, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you take on, you know, colonialism, nationalism, capitalism, all of these things and put it into this tiny little catchy song and still speak to every single part of it, you know? And that's what blew me away. And that's what really I love about Propaganda in general is their ability to speak to those issues in such a profound way, but also in such a catchy, short way. Like, that's weird to me. Like, how are you able to do all that?
Yeah. You know, Nathan, something that I'm wondering is, so this band challenges me to keep trying to be a better person. They're saying, okay, Greg, even though you're about to be 40 and you're a part of the rat race society that we all live within, you can still keep trying to improve upon yourself and do better. What does music like Propaganda do for you as you look towards your future as a person who cares about things and society and people? What does this band challenge you to keep doing within your own life?
I would say, for me, it's almost too obvious for me, I think, is that, you know, what I am doing now is exactly what this inspired in me. And that is creating a band that is, you know, if you take those first 2 to 3 albums from Propaganda, that's what we're trying to do. Now, I mean, obviously not ripping them off and doing the same style of music, but it's melodic, it's catchy, it's short to the fucking point songs, you know, with a stiff middle finger in the fucking air. And that middle finger is saying, here are the issues of the world. This is what we want to change. But we're not necessarily saying it in anger. We're more saying it in, fuck you, you're not stealing my joy. We are going to speak up. We are going to speak out. And we are going to take in the misfits. We are going to take in those who feel alienated from this world. And we're going to create our own culture, our own scene, our own thing. And you can't do a goddamn thing about it.
You know, and the 3 singles that are out now really are just so, they ask us to all consider things and to keep trying. Like, Screaming for a Change to me is about being a certain age, being an adult, being parents, looking forward and like looking at the future that now our children are careening towards. You know, I'm a parent. And so Screaming for a Change is like, oh my gosh, what is my kiddo's future going to look like? And so to me, continuing to try and not give up and not just completely succumb to the overwhelming nature of the world as it is, that to me is what that first song kind of stands for. And then you got Old Guard, which is another great single that you all have released already. And I'm loving the record. I'm thinking, I love what you said about how it inspires you to keep trying and to be outspoken and to keep challenging your listeners to keep doing those same things that Propaganda was doing with all of their records as well. Being one of those kinds of bands that challenges us to continue thinking is just a really fantastic and admirable goal, because you never know how many lives you're going to change. So many people are professors today because of listening to Propaganda in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah,
and you never know. And you never know what that change is going to influence in people's lives. So I love the fact that the Iron Roses is doing what you all are doing. It's really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Nathan, thank you so much for joining me to chat about this wonderful band and your own life, and for your stories and candor and just general energy. It matters so much to me that you're willing to do something as niche as a podcast about a single band, you know?
Oh, I love it. Number one, I love talking. Number two, I couldn't imagine a better band to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, except for my own, obviously, but like,
Yeah.
but if I'm going to speak on something that, I mean, this is one of the most influential bands in the 90s for me, you know?
Yeah.
So
I love it. What would you recommend people check out next if you want to promote any projects or books or movies or YouTube channels or podcasts or anything that you love? What do you think that people out there should check out if they're looking to follow along with your journey, but also maybe learn a couple things that are on the topics that we've been discussing?
Well, you know, obviously, number one, I'd love everyone to order the album and to check us out on Spotify, because I don't think people understand. But Spotify is unfortunately how bands do anything these days. It's not just album sales. If you are being looked at for a tour, if you are like a support act or for whatever, the powers that be go to Spotify first. And if you don't have the numbers, you're not getting picked.
Huh.
It's sad and it sucks, but it's a reality that we deal with. So put us on your playlist, go crazy on Spotify for us. It would be wonderful. Usually what people don't understand, if you don't have 10,000 monthly listeners or above, you're not going anywhere. And that's the sad truth. But we'll get out of that real quick because that's depressing. And I'll say, I'd really love people to just hear this whole album. It is a 30-minute album. I sort of stole that idea from Bad Religion in that we want to make this short and impactful when we get in there. I don't want any songs to be, you know, I think the only song that goes over like 2.5 minutes is the last song, Revolution Summer, which is an epic 4 minutes. And so I just want people to hear this album. It's like 29, 30 minutes of your time to get through it. And that's it. It comes out this Friday. I don't know when this podcast is going out, but it comes out on the October 20th. And I'd love people to get it and read the lyrics, listen to the music, follow us on all the socials and all that stuff, because we talk about stuff all the time.
Yes. Your Instagram is my favorite. I love it.
Yes, thank you. And you can follow us all, you know, on as the band or as individuals too. On the band page, it has all our individual links. But that is, as far as my journey, that's all I'm going to be doing here out. That has been a very strict decision for me, that I do not have a lot of things from here. It's the Iron Roses. It's who I am. That's where I'm moving forward. Past that, I mean, it's hard to think of anything specific for people to go read, because there's so much information out there. Yeah. You know? And I think that if you go, my best advice is to listen to people who aren't you. Yeah. You know, if you see someone who is just another cis, white, straight dude, maybe stay off that for a little bit. You know, like, go search out people who don't look like you, who don't have the same culture as you, who don't have the same reality or perspective as you, and really look into it. You know, there are plenty of people out there who are trans, who are part of the LGBTQ community, who are not white, who are women, who are, you know, there's just so much out there right now that it's almost purposeful if you're going out there and only listening to people that look and act like you. You know, excellent. So I would just say, and while I'm on that, I would like to inspire people that when you do, don't give any labor to those people. That's an important thing to remember. When you go and you listen, educate yourself, listen silently. do not ask them to teach you. People who are marginalized have been through a fucking enough.
Mm.
They do not have time to sit there for hours and teach you how you should be. You can figure it out. You're an adult, you know?
Yeah.
Many have done it, and you can too. So that would be my advice, is to search out folks that do not look like you, do not have the same experiences as you, and try to learn from them in a quiet manner.
Mm.
and show support, you know? Show support. Don't look to them to do the work for you.
Fantastic. Well, Nathan, I am so grateful to you for your time and energy. Congratulations on the new band, the new self-titled
Thank you.
record from the Iron Roses. I look forward to following along with the band and hopefully seeing you all on the road next year.
Hell yeah. Would love it.
It's been a real pleasure having you here. Thank you so much. And thanks for coming on, chatting about Propaganda with me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.